Subscribe today to RacingAmerica.tv to join our racing community and get access to over 200 live pavement short track races each season from across the U.S. and Canada. Plus, RacingAmerica.tv has exclusive and behind-the-scenes coverage of the NASCAR Cup team.
Enjoy competing with your teammates.
We already know.
Subscribe today and claim additional discounts and access. And your front row seat to watch the excitement and drama.
Car lifts up in the air.
From grassroots to NASCAR, become a subscriber today at the home for race fans everywhere.
You're watching Racing America right here on Racing America.
Racing America. It's in our DNA.
Welcome in, friends. It is another episode of Dirty Air with Rodney Rodriguez. You guys thought I was gone, right? Y'all thought I'd been thrown off the air. You thought that maybe some of you hoped that was the case, but that hasn't been the case. It's been a case of there have been a lot of racing events that have been going on, and there's really no need to drop a show on Thursday or do one live when you're going to have an event that you're going head-to-head with. And nobody wants to see me when you can see Bubba Pollard and you can see Ty Majeski and you can see Casey Roderick and you can see all these guys. But it's great to be back with you guys on a Thursday. Looking forward to a fun program here this Thursday afternoon, as we dive in with a little bit of dirty air. Clean air is good. Times like this, dirty air just a tad bit better. Dirty air is where the short trackers gather. Dirty Air, as always, presented by On Demand Shirts in San Antonio, Texas. That, of course, is the official apparel provider of Dirty Air T-shirts. You can actually go into the description if you want some of this gear, and you can order that, and they'll drop it to you right on your doorstep. Of course, audiovisual consultations in Round Rock, Texas, another proud partner and supporter of Dirty Air and the RPM Media Network. So super excited. Tom McKay and that group coming in. Just really cool folks. And, of course, the great folks, Alan Dietz and everyone at Racing America that puts us on that platform that just gets just great. It's a really great place to just jump in and just talk short track racing, because that's really what we love. And that's what we're going to do today. Coming up in the program, our guest today, Boston Oliver, is going to join me, as he was victorious the last time out at Mobile International Speedway there in the Pro Late Models. You've got the Show Me the Money Pro Late Model race at Montgomery. And, of course, Pro Late Models is one of those series where you get a lot of, I've talked about it in the past, to where it, over on the dirt side, because here in Texas, working a lot of dirt track shows and so forth, dirt tracks, I really watched where you've had a resurgence of modifieds, of big mods, of IMCA modifieds have really made a comeback here. And you've got what you have here. You have an IMCA sport mod or a limited modified, depending on what you want to call it. And to me, that's a lot of what the Pro Late Model is. And what's really been cool, and I've talked about it in the past, is the time there at Mobile with Gina and the Gulf Coast Racing Series. One of the things that I thought was really cool that we did there was that we allowed, the Pro Late Models to get out there and run 30, 40 lap features, a 50 lap feature race, something like that, as compared to 100 lap main events and all of that. And you would have some of those. Of course, the drawback to that is, from a fan standpoint and from different variables right there, is maybe your car count's going to be a little bit lower, because you're not going to be paying that big purse, which in and of itself is a win for the track, that you're not paying the large purse. But at the same time, you get some of these folks that are in Pro Late Models, whether it's up and coming Pro Late Model drivers. You get folks that have been in the Pro Late Models for some time that don't have the budgets to be able to do, snowballs and Show Me the Monies and all of these different things. And it affords them an opportunity to get out there and do more of a weekly show, if you want to call it. Yeah, a little bit lower pay, but it's going to get you on the racetrack. You're going to be mega competitive because you don't have the big teams and so forth. But it's it's a really, really cool thing. So the Pro Late Model is a nice resurgence that we're seeing. Later on, probably the third segment in the show, I'm going to kind of go through some of the stuff that's going on this weekend that you'll be able to find right here on the channel, but also just around the regions of short track stuff that's going on with the NASCAR 2-week break. I think that's really going to be good for short track racing, dirt track racing, and pavement racing, because it's going to really bring it to light when folks are starving for racing. NASCAR fans or whatever, hell, let's get them over to the short track side, because that's when they can really see what, in my opinion, is better racing in the first place. But talking about the Pro Late Models, of course, with that, Boston, we're going to talk to him in just a little bit. But of course, one of the things that I think is really cool this year is that you do have the Pro Late Model Challenge, which is presented by our friends over at Rogers Dav Chevrolet. And it's a combination there of, 4 really great racetracks. You got Montgomery, you got Five Flags, you got Nashville, and then you got MIS. So all of those tracks right there, $5,000 minimum that's going to go to the champion. So that right there is just kind of a side portion of the year for Pro Late Models. So I think that's something, and we'll really start digging into that, because you can see some of those dates have already passed, but we're getting into, I'm especially looking forward to the back-to-back right there. You see at Five Flags, you got the August 23rd race, and then over to Mobile on August 24th. And you've got a lot of these guys and ladies that are predominantly Mobile and Pensacola drivers. So I think that as that thing continues to work itself out, and we get towards the end of the year, that that $5,000 right there, that's going to go a long way to some of these teams as they start preparing for 2025 and with whatever they're going to do with their budgets. Again, after the little bit of a layoff, we will continue our 2024 short track spotlight. You can email me at dirtyairracingshow@gmail.com. Just in the subject line, put the name of your racetrack and put short track spotlight or put something like that. Because I get emails in there, and a lot of times stuff will get by me because there's no subject, or spam, for crying out loud. I love spam. I'm one of those guys that the original spam, I'm old enough that back in the day when I was a kid, you give me a little bread, a little mustard, and you give me the spam where you had to have the key, and you had to peel the can open, of spam, and you just ate that stuff. I know a lot of people like to fry their spam, and they like to do whatever, man. I raw dog that stuff. It is like, I will just eat that stuff, slice it all up with some pickles and some mustard and some bread, and I am good. That kind of spam I like. But when it comes to dirtyairracingshow@gmail.com, I'm not the biggest fan of spam in that, because then at times I will happen to miss stuff. So be sure and put some title in there. That way I know exactly what you're sending me, and we can showcase your racing track. I would love to do that, because that's what the show is all about. Like I said, it's where the short trackers gather, and that's what I do. I just like to promote short track racing. Before we dive in and get rolling here, I do want to give some heartfelt thoughts to my friend Owen Pittman. Of course, he is the promoter over at Houston Motorsports Park at the HMP Oval. A little bit of some health news. You folks that are checking in from Texas probably saw that on Facebook. No need for me to go into details about that. But as you're sitting there and you're having your thoughts, and you have your private time where you go and you're hoping good things for people, please keep one of my best friends, Owen Pittman, in your thoughts, because he's about to be in a battle right now that's it's going to take a little bit. But Owen's a fighter, and he's got a good team that are going to help him through it. Coming up, Boston Oliver is going to join us later on in the show. I'll give you my thoughts on Indianapolis and what we saw with that. Then we'll take a look at the calendar of what's coming up this weekend, not only on Racing America, but among other short track venues and places around here. Clean air is good. Times like this, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Dirty air is just a tad bit better, because you know what this place is. This is where the short trackers gather. It's Dirty Air. You guys stick around. We'll get rolling. Boston Oliver coming up.
the biggest stars,
I enjoyed it. I felt good out there. I would love to come here and race.
and the inside info.
This is the T-bar setup. This clips into the bottom of the cam lock.
The only fast channel powered by the NASCAR Cup team owners who know all about speed.
How am I even going to drive for 3.5 hours without having a radio in the car?
The most NASCAR team content anywhere. Climb on board.
Communication is key in the racing world. When it comes to at-the-track communications, there is only one place to call. Racing Electronics is the #1 source for professional race communications worldwide. Over 20 years in the business proves their dedication to the sport. With every driver and crew communication, two-way radios and headsets, scanners and more, Racing Electronics is a one-stop communication source for all your motorsports needs. Before the green flag flies, make sure you have all your team communication gear from Racing Electronics. Stop by and see a Racing Electronics representative at the track near you. Visit their showroom in Concord, North Carolina, or order online at racingelectronics.com.
51st Annual Bar Harbor Bank and Trust Oxford 250 returns to Oxford Plains Speedway with 3 big days of racing August 23rd through 25th. See past Super Late Model Hot Shoes battle for a chance at $50,000 to win Sunday, August 25th. Plus, racing for ACT Late Models, New England Super Modifieds, and more. It's the 51st Annual Oxford 250, August 23rd through 25th, and you can see it only on Racing America. Subscribe today to RacingAmerica.tv to join our racing community and get access to over 200 live pavement short track races each season from across the U.S. and Canada. Plus, RacingAmerica.tv has exclusive and behind-the-scenes coverage of the NASCAR Cup team.
Enjoy competing with your teammates.
We already know.
Subscribe today and claim additional discounts and access. And your front row seat to watch the excitement and drama.
Car lifts up in the air!
From grassroots to NASCAR, become a subscriber today at the home for race fans everywhere.
You're watching Racing America right here on Racing America.
Racing America. It's in our DNA.
Absolutely. Back live once again. It is Dirty Air right here on Racing America. Multiple platforms that we dive into on your Thursday. Very excited to be back doing this once again. We kind of took a little bit of time off right there. Things to do, lots of races that were going to be going on. So we kind of thought we might just sit back for a moment and let things happen and then dive back in. Again, this is where the short trackers gather. And how about we go to our guest line? And it's presented by On Demand Shirts in San Antonio, Texas. They are the folks that take care of Dirty Air, Revved Up, and all the different places that you might find my stuff. And we welcome in for the first time on Dirty Air, it is our man, Boston Oliver. Boston, how we doing, sir?
Great. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking the time and being a part of the program. So let's dive in here because for me, I mean, obviously the one thing that I love is short track racing. When we get to talk about, pro late models and so forth, I want to go back to the race at Mobile. Kind of take me through that race there at MIS. What a race that was. You end up in victory lane right there. Take us through that weekend of what you did right there.
Yes, sir. So we got down there. It was an awesome weekend just by itself. It was my first time ever being in Mobile and racing. So
Wow.
we got down. We practiced. We were pretty good in practice, really stout. And come Saturday, we qualified 4th and then got up to the lead and just kept our eyes forward and never looked back.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And kind of talk about that part because when it comes to diving into these cars, Mobile is not the easiest thing to kind of dive into. I mean, that kind of talk about the tendencies of that place. I mean, she's an old girl and she can be kind of rough sometimes.
Yes, sir. She can really get you where they got that. It's like a flat coming off the corner,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
down the straightaway. But you can use that too, which is what I used. I could use it to just get around the track. It was just I liked Mobile because it's different. It's different from any other track.
Yeah. Boston, talk about that part because that's one thing, in the time that I was actually working there at MIS, I always thought that was really cool. I mean, not really cool for you guys behind the wheel, but you come out of turn 4 and that thing just flattens out. I mean, it's like a pancake coming out of turn 4, and it's kind of like that dirt track cushion
Yeah.
that never leaves. That's just sitting right there when you're hauling tail out of turn 4.
Yes, sir. You should get your right sides up there, and you're perfect. Now, sometimes if you're loose, you can just chase it up the hill and get it on the flat, and then chase it back down, going off in the corner. And yeah, it was just awesome. I remember the first time I was out there, I didn't know if it would help you, if it would hurt you. And then Kurt was like, "Yeah, just use it if you need to. It'll help you too."
Yeah, and talk about that part, Boston, because you mentioned Kurt. I mean, Kurt Britt. I mean, Britt Motorsports. I mean, that they have helped so many young drivers like yourself become great racers in this. Talk about being a part of that team with Emma now, kind of spearheading that. Talk about that part. That's a really good team to be a part of.
Oh yes, sir. It's an amazing team. Everybody there is just awesome, and it's a lot of fun being with Emma Britt and her team. You know, they got the legend cars, they got the bandos, the trucks, the outlaw late models, and the late models, of course. They've got everything you can think of, and the team just by itself is an amazing environment to be around. And all of them are really great drivers too.
No doubt, no doubt. Really good team right there. So Boston, pardon the dog.
No, you're good.
So Boston, talk about this race at Mobile. A couple of weeks back, and we're a week late. We were going to do this a week ago, but there was something that was going on. This was a loaded field that you came into. I mean, Stephen Davis was in one of the in the
Augie
33
Grill.
car. Yeah, Augie, Memphis Virial from down here in Texas, my way. I mean, you had Bragg, you had Chad Elliott Massey. I mean, kind of talk about had to be really cool to win that race with that field. You mentioned Augie. I mean,
Yes,
shit.
sir. That was my first pro
Yeah.
late. So to win against Augie and all them guys, it was awesome. I had a ton of fun. That track, it was just that time in general was just so much fun. I loved it there.
Yeah. So, and kind of talk about that part because one of the things, I know when I was a part of Mobile that we really took a lot of dedication in the fact that, I mean, with a lot of the pro races, it's going to be 100 lap race or whatever the fact is. When you can actually go out and run a 40, 30, 40, maybe 50 lap race, get out there and kind of figure these cars out. That's a really cool thing that Eddie Shoemaker's done a really good job of kind of keeping up what Gina was doing out there with these shorter races for you guys in the pros.
Yeah. So it's not really different. You still have to save a little bit whenever you're
Mhm.
out front leading. You have to use more, and everybody else behind you is just trying to keep up and not use as much. So whenever they're on your bumper like that, then you got to save, but you also got to keep your eyes forward and keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So you win that race, but let's kind of talk about, I mean, racing pros and all that. I mean, that's just part of the deal for you with young guys like yourself. I mean, that's just one of the things that you do. Talk about the other stuff. I mean, you got guys that like yourself that race on asphalt, you race on dirt, you do all these different things. Kind of talk about everything that you do, Boston.
So I'll just talk about how my racing history, really how it all,
Bring it on. I love it.
everything. So
Yep.
so I started racing whenever I was 6 years old in the quarter midget division. I started practicing when I was 5. I raced those for about 4 years, and then moved up to a legend car. Raced the legend car for 2 years, and I had an amazing time in the legend cars. They were a lot of fun. And then moved up to the late models, and that's where it is right now. I raced at Nashville for the first 2 seasons, and then ran the Snowflake my first or second season in the late model. And we unfortunately we didn't make the first time we went down there, but the second time we made it.
Wow. And Boston, how important is that in your opinion? Because you get a lot of guys that I mean, they can kind of go around the go-karts and legends and bandoleros and all these different things. But I think it's really cool when you get guys like yourself that get to race in those divisions. You learn how to drive. I mean, you learn a lot of skills in those divisions. Kind of talk to that part where it's like, I mean, if you can dive right into a late model, that's great. But going through the ranks, still really cool, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. Well, obviously, I got to race against Carson Hocevar in the quarter
Yeah.
midget. You going from the quarter midgets, you really get to race against all the big name guys because that's where all the big name guys come from. That's where everybody started. That has a big name. You know, Joey Logano raced them,
Mm-hmm.
and then in legend cars, Kyle Busch raced them. And there's a bunch of competition that's in both of those, and it taught me how to just race or be the best that I could.
Yeah, yeah. Is that one of those things where, I mean, I know if somebody walks up and they hand you a check and it's like, go late model racing, go pro, go super or whatever. But I mean, I really think I'm an old race car driver myself. I never got to do quarter midgets. I never got to do any of that. But if you get to do quarter midgets and legends and all that, isn't that really the way to learn how to race?
Yes, sir. That's the way for sure because you get to go through the ranks and you get
Yeah.
to. Quarter midgets has like 10 different divisions that you can choose from. You know, there's junior Honda, there's senior Honda, heavy Honda, World Formula. And there's all different kinds in there, and it just teaches a little kid how to race. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I learned how to race.
Yeah, no doubt. So for you, when you win that race at Mobile, you win that pro race, and it was a good one. It was a really good one. I mean, how gratifying to pull into victory lane there. I mean, because Mobile is one of those tracks where you look at the hallowed grounds of short track racing. Man, you come pulling in there, you got the trophy and all that stuff. I mean, how cool was that to win at MIS?
You know, it was really awesome. I didn't even think that it was real, to be honest,
Yeah.
because that was my first ever time pulling into victory lane with a pro late model. My
Wow.
first time ever being at Mobile, so it just made it 10 times more special. And it was awesome. That's all you can really say about that. It was just awesome. And, you know, it was just awesome pulling in the victory lane there against big name guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Big, really big name guys,
Sure.
really big name.
Big
So
name.
you get that done. I mean, here we are. They say the Olympic break, but short track racing does not stop. What's on tap for you here as we kind of get to the end of July, moving forward? What all do you have on your schedule?
Well, you know, we're going to race more races at Cordell, a couple more in Mobile, too. We're going to race there. And really anywhere we can go that's on the schedule, really. Just any track, because Kurt, he has taken me everywhere and letting me race his car at different tracks. So it's just an awesome. Yeah, we're just going wherever's next. That's where we're gonna go.
Isn't that a cool thing when you have somebody that says, "Hey, we're going to Cordele, we're going to Mobile, we're going to Pensacola." You just kind of show up. I mean,
Yes.
that's got to be a really cool thing for you.
Yeah, I'll go down there and I'll work on the car with them, and that's something I love to do. Is I love working on them. I love learning about every part, every piece I can.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. And this will be the last thing that I ask you here on Dirty Air is we get so many guys that they have opportunities to race and do things, but you do like that part. I mean, working on the car. I mean, to me, I mean that was always one of the biggest things, to try to figure things out and try to do things to the car that would make it faster. In my opinion, you in the driver's seat, you're the one that can make adjustments and tell people, do this or do that, and it's going to make the car faster. Isn't that it's kind of a lost art for young folks these days, to where it's like, give me something, let me get my hands dirty. And you seem to be very open to doing that.
Oh yes, sir. I love getting out there, helping and learning. I love helping setting them up. I love
Oh,
sitting there. I love working on them. That's what it is. I like to work. I don't want it just handed to me. I want to work for it.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Boston, way to go, man. Way to win there at Mobile. Looking forward to the rest of the year. I'm sure I'm going to run into you at one of these places as we dig further into the season. Good job out there. Keep doing it to it, man. And
Don't mind.
congratulations. Winner at
Well,
Mobile, man.
I like to thank some people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nature Coast Electric, South Alabama Plumbing, Brian Cagle Grading, and Keystone Recognition, and Logan Biggin, and obviously Kurt and Mr. Jim and Lenny for all their hard work in the shop. Spencer Bragg, Madison Bragg, and Charlie for everything that they do for me in this race.
Boston, isn't that the thing to where it's like when you get guys that they come out and they have a lot of funds and they do all these different things and they have a big sponsor that may be able to help them with whatever. Sometimes when it gets to guys like you, it takes an army, a small army of people that just believe in you and help you do this. Isn't that pretty much what you guys are doing right now?
Yes, sir. Kurt Britt and Immigrant Motorsports, they've believed in me since day one. So big thank you to them. Kurt Britt and Immigrant Racing is the best that you can really get. And if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be able to be this good this year, and probably wouldn't be racing this year without them.
Yep, no doubt about it. Boston, way to go, my man. I know I'll see you soon, like I was talking about a while ago. Congratulations, and keep doing it, buddy. Proud of what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Be well. Dirty Air continues in just a moment. Good stuff right there from Boston Oliver.
First annual Bar Harbor Bank and Trust Oxford 250 returns to Oxford Plains Speedway with 3 big days of racing August 23rd through 25th. See past Super Late Model Hot Shoes battle for a chance at $50,000 to win Sunday, August 25th. Plus, racing for ACT Late Models, New England Super Modifieds, and more. It's the 51st annual Oxford 250, August 23rd through 25th, and you can see it only on Racing America.
The biggest stars.
I enjoyed it. I felt good out there. I would love to come here and race.
And the inside info.
This is the T-bar setup. This clips into the bottom of the cam lock.
The only fast channel powered by the NASCAR Cup team owners who know all about speed.
How am I even going to drive for 3.5 hours without having a radio in the car?
The most NASCAR team content anywhere. Climb on board.
Communication is key in the racing world. When it comes to at-the-track communications, there is only one place to call. Racing Electronics is the #1 source for professional race communications worldwide. Over 20 years in the business proves their dedication to the sport. With every driver and crew communication, two-way radios and headsets, scanners and more, Racing Electronics is a one-stop communication source for all your motorsports needs. Before the green flag flies, make sure you have all your team communication gear from Racing Electronics. Stop by and see a Racing Electronics representative at the track near you. Visit their showroom in Concord, North Carolina, or order online at racingelectronics.com.
I'm Kyle Larson, and you're watching Racing America.
Dirty Air rolls on, another Thursday episode. Good to be back on the air again. Like I was talking about, there's a little break. And of course, as I mentioned in that first segment, never a really bad thing when you have to take a little bit of time off because you've got so much great short track racing that's going on Thursdays. But we're here and we're going to start getting these things done for you. That way, whether you can catch it live or you can catch it whenever, which that's the whole beauty of Dirty Air with Rodney Rodriguez, is you can catch it at any time or any place. So again, welcome back in, and thanks for being a part of the show. Got to talk quickly about NASCAR coming off of the Indianapolis weekend. I, for one, very excited. Have always been a fan of. I've mentioned a lot of times, I'm sure if you follow the show throughout the first 3 seasons that we've been on here, is that I absolutely love the Indianapolis 500. It's probably, even though I'm a stock car guy, I'm a short track guy, and so forth. It is probably my favorite race of the year. Just the whole nostalgia, the history, just everything that happens with Indianapolis. So the fact that you had the stock cars back on the hallowed ground of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's one of those things where you can talk about, you can compare it to Fenway, you can compare it to the original Yankee Stadium or Lambeau Field, or you name those places, and Indianapolis Motor Speedway, absolutely one of those spots. And the race did have, as it always does, and I know yesterday on the Bull Ring, Taylor Kitchen, by the way, congratulations on the move to North Carolina. They were breaking down lots of that, but just really my simple thoughts of the race is I think that the race didn't disappoint. The race pretty much did what I thought that it was going to do. I thought that the 400 was going to be better than it has been in the past, simply because the race car, it's the first time there, and this race car is one that, as it's made its debut in different places where it's typically done, it's given you a better performance than what the Gen 6 car and some of the other versions of the NASCAR Cup car have done. But when you really want to go and look at the weekend, you see the Saturday race where you had 3 different leaders in the last 3 laps, and you had a close finish at the end, and all of that. So I don't think either race really disappointed, in the sense that you had folks back at Indianapolis with the enthusiasm of wanting to be there for NASCAR racing, and that in and of itself is a major win. But when it came down to the end of it, there's been a lot of controversy about the end of the race right there, and I just don't. I understand the frustration from Ryan Blaney with the way that the race ended right there, but there's nothing strange about any of that scenario whatsoever. When you have someone that drops out, I have sat on the grid before, and again, as a short track racer in a street stock or a super stock division or something like that, a lot of racetracks, you want to be on the inside. If you get an outside starting position, it's like, oh man, I've got a lot of work to do because the inside groove is going to be the preferred groove. Yeah, I've been in those spots, and this is nothing different. This is nothing new whatsoever, to where if a car, whether it fails to be able to start, or in this case, Brad Keselowski goes to pit road as he's running out of gas right there coming down to the green flag. If that happens, the next line, you move up. You just move up in line. A lot of times it's not the most fortunate thing. It's not the preferred line or whatever. It was still Blaney that was the control car, which I don't know if that was a question or not. I got lost a little bit in some of the translation right there with some of the back and forth and everything that was happening there, but Blaney was a control car. This was the right thing to do, where Larson moves up and you go. And you absolutely are not going to wave off. You're not going to wave off a restart because a car gets off the racetrack. That's senseless. And anyone that has dabbled in this sport for any amount of time is going to tell you that you're not waving off a restart because a car goes off the racetrack. Keselowski runs out of gas and bottlenecks the fuel going through turns 3 and 4. And you start piling them in and crashing and all that, yeah, you're going to re-rack and restack and do all the different things right there. But because he goes off the track, you're not going to wave off a start. So that part right there, I don't see that was an error in anything that NASCAR did, or the way that race was called right there. And then with the end of the race, obviously NASCAR wants to give the fans, you want a green flag finish. You want them racing back to the line. And when you have the overtime rule, which again, this isn't anything that is foreign or anything that is new to anything. You take the white flag and the next flag is going to end it. And the next flag was a caution flag. When you had the 41 car, when Priest gets turned sideways and he's sitting there, and I was joking with my dirt track friends that were, and this goes for the pavement people too. I'm not just picking on dirt track people right here, but it's like, I'm waiting for them. As soon as they throw that yellow rag out, the car's going to mysteriously start up and take off like you short trackers do. And I'm talking to you people. You know who you are. I'll ring the bell for you on that one. But that became a point where I found out from some of the insiders in that situation, which you really look at it, and Priest was trying to get the car moving. I mean, you can see Priest trying to fire the car and trying to get the thing moving. It's lunging around and it's moving forward. Everybody was on fuel runs right there. Priest ran out of gas. The damn thing's not going to start. And NASCAR had to throw the yellow, and I guarantee you that was not something that NASCAR wanted to do. I mean, say what you want to say about NASCAR, but they absolutely do not want their races in under caution. I mean, especially in an event like that, where you've got a good crowd, you've got somewhere hovering around 70,000 people, which that's been the other thing is there wasn't anybody there. Well, yeah, compared to the Indy 500, yes, there was nobody there, but compared to Brickyard 400s prior, that was a very, very good crowd, and I think they were entertained to a very great product that they saw there with the 400. But yeah, it was a chronology of events right there at the end of that race, but there's nothing. I don't feel that anybody did anything in error to where something needs to go back and be reviewed and something needed to be done different. I think it ended the way it should, other than the fact that had Priest been able to get the car going, it would have been nice to have a green flag finish. NASCAR on break for 2 weeks, which is really odd. So now you've got 3 off weekends, 3 bye weeks that you have for NASCAR, as with the Olympic coverage, which has already started today, by the way, or yesterday, I guess it was, on the NBC Family Network. So you won't have any NASCAR, so you'll have Olympic coverage. But one thing that you definitely will have is you're going to have an abundance of short track racing. I can tell you on Racing America, where this show airs, among other places, you're going to have lots and lots of content that will be beginning tomorrow on Friday. I'm going to let the voice guy tell you, here's what you have to look forward to this weekend on Racing America.
TV is the place for you to be this weekend. It begins Friday night with the JEG CRA All-Stars and Vors Compacts at Toledo. Then it's a loaded Saturday of short track racing with the ROC Modifieds at Holland, the Show Me the Money Pro Late Models at Montgomery, and a double bill at White Mountain for the Walls Platinum Late Models and Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series. It's all part of an action-packed weekend on RacingAmerica.tv.
And not only that, of course, one of the coolest events that you're going to have, one of the coolest events of the season. And I don't care I don't care what brand of racing is your flavor, but of course, our friends over on Flow this weekend, you will be at Hickory and you will have the Throwback 276 for the Cars Tour, which you're blending a lot of really cool things right there. The 2 coolest of them all. One being you get the throwback schemes, you get all of the really cool stuff. I guess it's actually 3 things. You get the throwback schemes, you get all of those really cool liveries, as they call them in Formula One. And as Ken Squire used to say, you'll have all of those with the Cars Tour. 2, you're going to be racing at Hickory, which in and of itself, we talk about hallowed grounds and really, really cool places to race. There are short tracks. Hickory is definitely one of them. And number 3, on top of that is, I mean, but seriously, the Hickory thing is a really big deal. And the third thing is the Cars Tour. I mean, you watch most of these events, these late model stock car events with the Cars Tour, and they rarely disappoint. You're going to have a star-studded field of drivers that will be in this event, and they will race this thing out 276 laps at Hickory, and that's going to be on Saturday. That's our friends over on Flow Sports. So be sure and check that out if you're not checking out the Racing America stuff. And of course, as you can do with all of these streaming platforms, you can watch the things that you got on Racing America. You can flip over to Flow and see what's going on. I tell you that you could flip over to my friends at Race On in the Texas area, but hell, there's no racing in Texas. Actually, you've got the King of the Hill race that's going to be coming up, and that's a factory stock race. $10,000 to win, and that's going to be a massive dirt track race that'll happen at Boot Hill Speedway. So you'll have that. I mean, so there's 3 different streamers right there that you can check out, and of course all of your archived coverage and so forth on Racing America, RacingAmerica.tv. You can go back and watch that stuff anytime. Also, our friends at Mobile International Speedway, right there, the conversation we were having with Boston Oliver, back in action on Saturday. You've got the Sportsman, you've got the Crown Stocks, you've also got the Outlaws, the Trucks, and the Pure Stocks at Eddie Shoemaker's place, happening at Mobile International Speedway. One of the events right there that was thrown out, the Show Me the Money Pro Late Models at Montgomery. You got 21 entries as of this afternoon, the last time that I checked before I went on to the program today. One of those I really like every time that my buddy Johanna Robbins gets behind the wheel of a race car. She'll be in Pro Late Model number 18, so that will be really, really cool right there. Of course, Joanna, one of those Snowball Derby winners, and what a year that was. So really cool when she jumps back behind the wheel. Also want to touch on coming up August the 7th, and that's kind of as we get into August, things are going to slow down a little bit more on the weekly and the monthly stuff, and you'll start, these big events are going to start popping up a little bit more, and really excited about the battle at Berlin over at Jeff Striegel's place. I think that's going to be a fantastic event. You've already got over 30 UARA drivers that are entered for that one. That's going to be a loaded field right there. Eric Jones, Carson Hocevar are just a couple of the guys that are entered already with Bubba Pollard and the rest of the stars of the UARA. That'll be a part of that. And of course, when you head to Berlin, you know that you're always going to get a really, really good show. That's going to be on August the 7th. So it is a time right now where, as I mentioned, the 2-week layoff that you're going to have for NASCAR, for the Cup Series and so forth. But when it comes to short track racing and when it comes to regional racing and when it comes to the stuff that we dig into right here on Dirty Air, where the short trackers gather, because Dirty Air is where the short trackers gather, and Clean Air is good, but times like this, Dirty Air is just a tad bit better. There's not going to be a lot of slowdown. So as we continue to move on through the summer, lots and lots of great racing. Once again, a big thanks to our guest today, Boston Oliver, diving in, talking some great racing right there as he was the winner the last time out at Mobile International Speedway. Another one of those young guys that seems to be on a really good path to do some really, really cool stuff. I want to thank all of you for being a part of the program. We are back next Thursday. Remember, you can catch every audio podcast of Dirty Air, of this Dirty Air show. You can catch it at RodneyRodriguezSports.com. Of course, on Racing America, you can go to X at the Rodney R, and you can get all of that good stuff right there. So, as I always say, I say it on the Revved Up show over in Texas, and I'll tell you guys, get yourself to a local racetrack. If you can't get to a local racetrack, find you a streamer that's going to put you almost as good as being there. It's almost as good as being there, but not quite as good as being there. Find yourself a local short track, get out there, find one of these series, and check out the racing action. Until I see you again next Thursday, thank you for being a part of Dirty Air. We'll see you then. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the racing action.